the coach and the casual. We're back in the studio. We're going to recap UFC 301, talk about Pantoja's victory. We're going to talk about BKFC's latest fight, Conor McGregor buying in on BKFC, our thoughts on that. And I might fuck up the casual today. I don't know what it is, but he is just on one. So tune in.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what. It's been a while since we've been back. Have we not been back in studio since Vegas?
Yeah, we've been in Vegas. We had fun. I like Vegas, man. It's way fun. We've been having a good time. We always run into people that are like...
It is fun. I was there with, when I was checking into the hotel, Adesanya was there.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him because we had that big Strickland thing blow up, or a Paulo Strickland thing blow up.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we were on that. And he goes, oh, I recognize you. I was
Dude.
Adesanya recognized me?
Hey,
I was lit for that.
I mean, as much as I don't want to do this and give you some little bit of, clout, I was in Mexico, with my brother's retreat, which I'm doing more of them. They're going to be fun. But we're on the retreat. We're at a cenote, a party cenote, just having a party. And this dude, this big old meathead, and this is his friend, were like, coaching the casual. And then they're like, yeah, we really like the casual, and they're total meatheads. He's like, I agree with him so much. No girl could beat me up. And I'm looking at this meathead. I was like, he got winded walking up the stairs to jump off this note. And I'm like, the casual would be your hero, but I think you need to get on more stairways and just lift more.
He was part of the retreat, or just some random guy there?
Some fucking random guy.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, you don't like my takes because they're real, bro. You can't hear it. You fucking...
I'll tell you what, honestly,
As we were in Mexico, I was like, you gordo.
What I've kind of noticed is that I am the star of this show, and you're kind of like just...
Yeah.
like my sidekick,
Well, I think what's become is like I'm an actual star and people know who I am, but you're just a casual. So if anything, you're becoming more and more. And everyone else told me like, well, what happens when he learns about real martial arts?
I'll never learn. I'll tell you what, that's one promise I can give to every one of our guests. I'll never actually learn.
And here's the thing. You've infected me. You've infected me for the
telling
worst.
you.
Bro, I go everywhere I go. Valet now. I ain't walking anywhere.
Have I infected you with any other takes, especially...
I know.
UFC 301?
301, yeah, you infected me. Victim weight should not be the main event.
125 shouldn't even be in there.
I had a funny thing. I want to read to you. I was looking this up, and I know I'm a big fan of Brazilian wildlife.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read one of the wild animals from there. They are cerebral.
Cerebral, yes.
Cerebral. Have special limbs that are made for grabbing onto things.
Okay.
Super, super strong. Sleep about 18 hours a day. Can you guess what animal I'm describing? They live in Brazil.
Are they slow moving?
Slow moving.
And kind of boring?
Super boring.
It's got to be a sloth.
Pantoja. There's a real life sloth in the UFC. And, Uncle Chael was right. Oh, Uncle Chael was right in there. They don't even know that he's in the gym with them. I think he's training. He's so much stronger, and it's 125 is victim weight.
I said that to Henry. I said that to Henry's face.
Yeah.
I also said that to Marab. What's Marab fight at, 135?
135.
Let's talk about...
Marab's strong, though.
I'll tell you what, we've been having some fun,
Marab could have blown your knee out.
He had my knee, and you were just standing there watching. I was like, bro, come on.
Heel hooks don't work, bro. What's he going to do? I don't believe it.
No, he had my knee. And the thing is, to me, it reminded me of, you ever seen, Step Brothers?
Yeah.
When he's spanking Brennan.
Yeah.
And Dale's like, Dad, stop. And then he was like, you're next, mister. Yeah. And he was like, okay. That's you were like, Dale, oh, stop. But you weren't even helping me.
Now, what am I going to do? You got to learn how to defend a heel hook,
I almost punched down on him, but
and then once he found out Daddy's a black belt, he started listening.
Changed up.
He changed up real fast, right? When he found out Daddy was a black belt, he was like, maybe I shouldn't hurt
Dude,
this
our
guy.
guests have been fun. I've been actually talking a lot with Cejudo.
Yeah.
Gonna do some construction stuff with him actually.
Yeah, I mean, Cejudo was pretty cool. He was funny. That was hilarious how high he was in the thing. How
He
funny
got
was it?
crazy. You two were both like trying to herd cats. We
yeah,
made
but-
production note afterwards that you guys aren't allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I thought we got but then it was like herding cats. He just wanted to sit there quietly
You were
for a
just
little
laughing at your
while.
own jokes. None of them were funny.
Yeah, none of it was funny. A lot of people said that was their favorite podcast. I got a lot of good positive feedback.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I think because he was like kind of calm and he actually like talked to us and like we're not like asking people their what's your story background because I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
Like I can
mean,
guarantee
there's
you some
like,
trauma story. Blah blah. I'm a fighter.
Yeah, Dern, we had to get some backstory because her dad, since she was so little. Do you watch like all the comments on Dern?
No.
We just dropped that video, just the short clip about fighting on her period.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh wow, her accent sounds great. She doesn't need a translator anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild. And then she told me she was born in Arizona. But then it was funny because, one of our least favorite fans, my mom, who watches sometimes, said she saw the clip and I was telling her about the accent. She's like, well, technically, I guess accents happen in people's teenage years. So if she was living in Brazil from like 16 to 25, that's when you develop an accent,
Do you feel like I was rewatching that? I've rewatched her podcast like 19 times.
Yeah, me too.
She was touching my arm a lot. Do you
I would.
Do you
No,
feel like
dude, not even.
I mean, I don't
She
know.
doesn't want to be with
I don't know.
with a cash
Well, I'm
that
just
can't
saying,
do jujitsu.
Her man was super cool. His name was Antonio or something like that.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Tall, dark,
Definitely
handsome.
beat the hell out of me.
But he don't speak English, so he doesn't know what we're saying.
And not to mention, he's definitely fighting on undercard.
Yeah,
So-
he's an undercard.
So of course, she'd be touching my arm.
yeah.
I'm a main card kind
She's
of guy.
supporting daddy.
Yeah.
He's an undercard, probably 8-8 or something, 10-10 or something.
Well, let's talk. I mean, we cannot go past talking about your shirt. You got this shirt
Oh,
on?
dude. Since I didn't pick Alex that fight, because honestly, dude, he just surprises me all the time. I had to show number one support, buy the shirt. His coach, Polino, good friend of mine, he was like, saw me post it, and he was like, thanks for the support. I was like, yeah, never pick against him.
Well, he's calling out John Jones now.
I want that shit, bro. That's
crazy.
the fight to make.
Because
Here's the thing, or I think him and Ospinall would be great.
John Jones is just going to take him down, but Pereira is he's a black belt, isn't he? Jiu-Jitsu.
Brown belt now, but he's a brown belt from knocking people out. It's like my favorite side story of jiu-jitsu ever is Alex getting his belts every time he knocks someone out. But then it's like, what are you gonna say?
Yeah.
You go take his belt from him.
But John's going to take him down.
You think?
He's not going to sit and strike with Alex Pereira.
Yeah, but Alex is distance controlled. Like, that's the thing. John controls distance, and he's always struggled against long fighters. Like, i.e. Alexander Gustafsson was his toughest fight. Dominic Reyes. Those are two of his hardest fights. Long guys.
Did we never even get in here and recap 300?
No, we barely talked.
Recap. Dude, we've been out of studio for a couple weeks. 300 was insane. I know we're a couple weeks late.
But then we go right to 301, which is a snooze fest.
Well, let's go back to 300 and talk about what's the belt that Max just took from him?
Oh, the
BMF.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the fight of the century.
Fight of the century, the
Unbelievable.
knockout. But then, here's the thing. Dude, what does it matter now? That's what I'm kind of at.
What do you mean?
Now he has what does Max do? Does he go, I want to see him fight Ilya Topuria?
He's going to fight Topuria, but Topuria is dodging him, and that's your boy. You love Topuria.
Bro,
and he's being
Topuria's
kind of
not
pussy.
dodging him. I don't think he's a
with
pussy.
it.
I think he's going to fight him.
He tried to call out, what's his name, Ortega. Instead of Max, instead
I
of
saw
Volk
that
again.
easy money.
Dude, that to me.
Easy money.
You didn't see that clip of when Max was calling out Topuria? You just clipped at Topuria and he looked scared as hell.
Yeah, but also he doesn't speak that much English. And you've been to the arena. You don't hear.
But don't you think if you have to fight that guy, watching what he just did to Gaethje, don't you think that would be terrifying? You fought it. Weren't they fighting at 155?
Honestly, no. Here's the thing. Low key, no offense, he's a homie, but Justin Gaethje's one of the most overrated fighters there is.
I don't know, dude. He's mean. He's bad.
Yeah, he's got knockout power, But like legitimately, he's in there and he either knocks you out or gets knocked out.
I don't know, dude.
And Max technically is just a better fighter. So like, and same with Poirier. Like Poirier got head kick knocked out by him, but he was getting his ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like Poirier just made one little mistake. And I'm not saying Justin's like terrible. He's amazing. He's like top whatever, but like he always has holes. Like he just sits there and tries to fucking rip shots. You know what I mean? And like his murder against Tony Ferguson was his greatest performance, I think, ever.
I thought that was he also did, but Chandler's the one that face kicked him, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the fall of Tony Ferguson was
Started with Gaethje, huh?
Not started. I think Gaethje's the one that did it. That fight was so brutal. You saw him not even knowing where he was at one point in the fight, and since then his chin was done.
And I was just watching actually a documentary not documentary.
And I think another one, Michael Chandler, for some reason people love him. He's exciting, but like resume, what have you done? I want to see what have you like. He knocked out Tony.
We'll talk Chandler because we got Connor too coming up. But
yeah, don't watch this Chandler because he's like me and him have been trying to become friends.
Well, we got some. To be honest, I've got some thoughts on. But Chandler's a super cool guy. But
super cool dude.
The thing with
honestly, I could be friends with him, and that's one of the hard things. Like we commentate on local fights, and guess what? Guess what local fighters do?
Yeah, they watch.
They watch and they act like they hate me now. Yeah. They don't talk to me at the fights. They glare at me like it's fucking personal. You know what I mean? But then you talk about high level guys like Michael Chandler. He's like, like you see the low level guys sometimes get mad and argue with the, media this, media that. Then prove them wrong. You know what I mean?
But let me say this, going back to the Tony thing. Did you know that right before that fight, that was the one that he cut weight twice in a month?
Yeah.
Just to prove that he could have made that weight.
And I think that was when he went, had a mental breakdown. Mental breakdown, and got put on some kind of medicine. And I think the medicine's ruined him. Since then, it's been proven that medicine, like if any kind of like mental health,
SSRI stuff,
anything. I don't know what he's on, obviously, because it's all private. But any of that stuff blocks testosterone. That is a proven fact. And then, you're getting USADA. So now he's probably dealing with a low T. He's, 30, he's probably 40 now.
Probably close, yeah.
And I just think that that Gaethje fight was Gaethje fought great. Gaethje fights well in a small crowd. There was nobody there. But you put Gaethje in front of a big crowd, he gets like, let's go out and bang. I'm the same way. I'm not judging him. I was the same way. And I would throw my fights into 500 fights on someone I should just take down and khabib him. You know what I mean? But I was just like, when there's a crowd, you're just like, let's bang, baby. Let's go.
But don't you think that would like get you in trouble, get you punched in the face?
It did a lot. It got me in trouble a lot. Yeah, it made me lose fights.
Speaking of which, it is a little hot in here. I got my shirt.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Speaking of it, yeah.
Who was this?
Yeah, I don't even know.
You only got knocked out like
twice. I don't know. That was it's got to be older.
This is going to be official Coach of the Casual merch.
I don't know.
I just Googled Ramsey Nijem knockout, so it's like one of the first two.
Yeah, it's not Tony.
No, it wasn't
I think
Tony.
It was Miles Jury. To be honest,
I'll have to look it up.
No, it's not because I look older.
I saved it somehow. I'll look it up.
It's UFC.
I was going to ask you, dude.
Well, it'd either be Miles or it could have been Carlos Diego Ferreira.
That was it. This was the one.
Because I was fucking him up first round. We won fight of the night, and then guess what happened in the middle of the fight? And here's the thing, Kyle. You can wear that, but I'm actually proud of that because you know what modern day fighters out there, which you are a bunch of fucking pussies, you know what they would have done in my situation going in the second round there? Quit. I didn't know that was an option.
What happened in the first round?
I was fucking him up, took him down, and actually 4 weeks out of the fight, I was rolling with this, his name's Mike Hillebrand. He's a world champ, 10th Planet black belt, owns Oakland, 10th Planet. Super cool dude. Accidentally got my arm caught between and tore my elbow. And I had a 2nd-degree tear right through here. So this is 4 weeks out of the fight. And I was like, it was probably the most painful thing that's ever happened to me. Literally, I was crying. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, well, I'm going to pull out. This is back UFC days.
Yeah.
When they were hard. And I get a message because obviously I went to the doctor and they find everything out somehow. Because obviously I called the UFC doctor and they tell you go there and you go to get checked out. Grade 2 tear. So they go, it's a grade 2 tear, meaning still attached, you can fight. You're either going to fight or we're going to bench you 18 months. Because I was on the main card at UFC. I don't remember. You got to look it up. And they go, we can bench you 18 months, pay you just your show. And I was on an Ultimate Fighter contract.
You still get paid if you get injured before a
No.
fight? I wasn't give you just your show.
Like, meaning they could shelf me up to 24 months and they'd only have to pay me $10,000 over, or whatever, like 15 over that 24 months.
Jeez.
If I decided not to do it. So it was going to be 2 years on the bench in my prime. And I don't know if they would have done it, but that's just this is how they used to do business.
Negotiation tactics.
Yeah, and I was scared and I was like, fuck, all right, I'll do it.
I can't take 10 G's over 2 years.
Yeah, and of course, the doctor that I went and saw, the UFC doctor's like, oh yeah, your elbow's fine. Fucking black and blue like this. And then my coach Tarek is like, he's like, who fucking cares? We're gonna beat this dude's ass. I was like, okay. So I was like, let's fuck him up. And I was feeling all right. You know, I couldn't roll anymore. I was hitting mitts. My arm would swell up, but I was wearing like a thing. So going into the fight, first round, I was beating his ass because he is just another fucking Brazilian black belt. He just sits there like throwing these heavy ones, and I'm like moving, like pop, pop, beating the fuck out of him. And at the end of the round, I get the takedown just to win the round, you know? And I'm sitting in his guard like this, and I hit him, and he grabs my arm in this like weird inverted Americana, and he just goes, boom, and my elbow just goes pop.
Whoa.
But here's the thing, no pain. Completely painless. Like, and I was like, huh. And then the round ends, I go back in the corner and I'm like, oh fuck, my elbow's not like working anymore. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, back in the day, I didn't think about pulling out. I walked into a fight, kill or be killed. I was like, okay, I broke my hands. I would, like these guys are like, injury, I'm out. And people are like, oh, he got injured.
It's like, did you watch the BKFC fights or not really?
Some of them, yeah.
Did you see Juggernaut, his arm fold behind him?
Yeah, exactly. And that was exactly what happened. So I'm like in the round and I'm like, all right, Tarek, my elbow's not working. He goes, all right, it's time to start fucking kicking him. I was like, all right, I got to kick him then. So then I'm sitting there and it was like more limp than I've ever felt. And I went to go catch like a hook and he throws this big hook and I literally, my elbow's like this, like, and it just goes boom. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, because I was like, it's not working. And I hit him with something. And since it was completely torn out, it was like hitting him with like a wet noodle.
It's like fighting in your dreams.
Yeah. And you can see right here, I'm actually exchanging a right. And my elbow is like wet noodle. And he just bit in exchange. And then before it happened, like he rocked me and I felt my legs go. And I was like, fuck. And then so I like was sitting there and I just sat and leaned up, I think, against the cage. And I was like, let's go, bitch. And I was like, trying to knock him out. And then after the fight, I was like, my arm was completely swollen and black and blue. I was sad, but I won a $50,000 extra bonus.
What does it feel like to get knocked out? Do you just wake up and like, or do you
That one wasn't a knockout. That was a TKO. So like,
what does a TK? Does it feel like when you're fighting your dreams, like you're stuck in quicksand, like you just
and then,
to hit them, but your
here's
body
to
won't
wrap
respond?
up. So look it up out there, Mr.
I'm sure we'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, whatever UFC. I think it's 157. I'm not.
77.
What? 177. So UFC 177. This is pre-USADA. Main event, TJ Dillashaw versus someone else, and then it ended up being some guy named Joe something that had to fill in last minute. Joe Soto. And he fucked him up. No drug results.
What's that mean?
No post-drug results. Because I was like, that motherfucker, he was on steroids, on some kind of BPO. Because first round, I fucked him up, bro. At one point, I hit him. His eyes roll back into his head like this, like he's going to sleep. And he's like, comes back. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I like tie up with him. I was like, one of the strongest guys I've ever felt, like physically. And he literally just tore my elbow with not technique, just grabbing it and just ripping on it. And it was already kind of injured. So then they'd release no drug results, one of the only ones, and this is back in the day. And then post this fight, USADA comes in. He gets test positive for the most steroids ever in the history of anyone's system at 19 illegal substances. So you know what? Fuck you, Carlos Diego Ferreira. I would fuck you up. You still suck. I watched his last fight. He's like this. He's like just throws front kicks and sucks cock. You suck at fighting. And you know what? His coach over there in Dallas is he's a good coach. I forget his name. You know, but here's the thing. He's a fellow Palestinian, and he's coached against me a few times. Fucking check your
check your brown privilege.
Yeah, check your privilege, bro. Don't be helping these fucking Brazilians fight Arabs. You know what I mean? That's more important to me. Like, I ain't gonna help no fucking Brazilian fight an Arab. I would never.
I do have a question here, and don't get mad at me. I know you're gonna be angry with me, but I just have to check. Saying your elbow blew out before that fight, do we have a little bit of Ronda Rousey talking about falling down the stairs before that Holly fight?
No, there's a whole medical, you could call a doctor and look it up.
Have you seen that stuff with Ronda now where she's coming out and saying before the Holly fight she was concussed and she fell down the stairs?
Bro, I mean,
it's been 10 years.
I never said anything. Before one of my knockouts against Miles Jury, no joke, I was cutting weight. In the tub, I slipped, hit my head. And I remember being like, because I was so dehydrated, thinking like, whoa, that like hurt. And I never said anything, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, oh, I got knocked out because of that. But then I never was able to rehydrate, and it literally took one punch. You know what I mean? I was fucking him up, and then going into the second round, he just landed one punch and put me to sleep. And I cut 30 pounds that week.
If you could have gone back, let's say you could go back and you would definitely listen to yourself. Because the problem is, I'm sure that Tarek told you not to do some dumbass stuff.
Yeah, all the time.
And I'm sure you didn't listen.
Yeah.
Because you're a hothead fighter or whatever it is. If you could go back to the start of your career and been your coach the whole time, and you definitely would have listened to yourself, what things would you have made yourself do differently? Because now you're a coach of, and we'll talk about Julian. Is it announced yet?
Yeah,
about Julian going to the PFL and things. Julian? He's a cool guy, I love him, but he's also kind of a hot-headed fighter. He
has a hard time listening. Guess how I get him to listen?
You beat him up or what?
No, I just now because all these fucking kids are into their gay anime cartoon shit.
Say Goku would have listened.
I go to Chat GT and say GPTQ or whatever and say
LGBTQ.
I put in what I want to tell Julian and say translate this into
idiot talk.
What's Goku from? Dragon Ball Z. Translate this into Dragon Ball Z talk, and it comes out like great Goku warrior, and then he's like, yes, sensei.
But if you could have gone back and been your own coach, what would you have done differently for yourself? How would you have gotten yourself to not do some stupid stuff?
One of the hard things with me was there wasn't coaches.
I'm sorry to cut you. I want to cut you up one more time because I wanted to just say this, that I've now been around fighters for a few months now on the highest level and on the lowest level. And fighters are a different breed of person. They don't
retarded.
They don't listen well. They don't. You guys are impulsive, and I think you have to be all those things to be a fighter. But if you could get all of the fearlessness and desire to go fight with also having some
discipline,
not discipline, or a different kind of mental discipline as opposed to just
can I pause
discipline.
You though? Because this is actually a really good point. This is why you see Division I wrestlers dominate. Isn't because of the wrestling, because your wrestling has diminishing returns in college wrestling. Because as a fighter, you only need to wrestle up to high school, really. College wrestling is diminishing returns. But what we learn is every morning, I'm up at 6 a.m. But no matter what your coach tells you to do, you had to do. Like in college, you'd be like, hey, you're bumping you up. Sometimes I'd be like, I don't want to wrestle 174. He's like, well, you are. And you have no choice. And that's the difference. And so my problem was I didn't necessarily, it was my lack of coaching. I didn't have any coaches, and that was kind of the problem. There wasn't any coaches that were coming up that knew the thing, because you would have to go to a jiu-jitsu coach, you'd have to go to a wrestling coach, you'd have to go to a boxing coach, a kickboxing coach, because there was no MMA coaches. And then once you saw my change in my career, once I moved out and started going with Tarek, my next fight, Justin Edwards. I think from that point on, if you take away people using steroids and injuries, I basically went undefeated, because Tarek was a new age MMA coach. Tarek knew how to wrestle, jiu-jitsu, black belt, grew up boxing, had professional kickboxing fights. So like he did it all. So I could just go to Tarek, and then it was a lot easier to listen to someone like that. And that's when you saw me exponentially get better compared to having like many, many coaches, many masters. I couldn't, and I remember Miles' jury fight, before I got knocked out too, going into the round, my jiu-jitsu coach was telling me to go back down to the ground. My striking coach was telling me to knock him out. And they were both telling me two separate things. And I remember being in my head like, well, what should I do? Because he's good on the ground, but I won the ground exchange. But felt like I could also win the standing exchange. You know what I mean? And so like in that moment, I remember being like confused, and then I decided to do neither and get knocked out.
Yeah.
And so I think my problem was, and I was designed to be like a wrestler. Wrestling in college, I would listen to my coach. I would be out in a match, my coach could yell to shoot a shot I've never shot, and I would have to do it. If I didn't do it, I would get benched and I would lose my scholarship. That's why you see like Michael Chandler is so good. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm trying to say is, it actually goes into that. But what I've seen a lot is like fighters have this impulsiveness about them, right?
Yeah.
And let me flesh this out a little bit. Fighters have this impulsiveness about them. It leads to partying and doing different things. But what I've kind of noticed, without doing deep psychoanalysis, is it actually is coming from a super dark place. You know how most comedians, like, they're depressed. Like, they actually get up there to get laughs because it's the only way for them to kind of feel like people like them or anything. And if they don't hear, like, you see a lot of comedians.
Yes, I hate myself. Yeah. Is that what you're, okay.
What I'm trying to
you want to
like,
get down to it? Yeah, I hate myself. And then when I'm out there fighting, you do feel
it's the roar of the crowd and stuff.
Oh my God,
and
bro,
so
it's addicting.
What I've noticed is
I had a flashback the other night and woke up at 3 a.m, my heart racing, like, whoa, shit, like goosebumps.
It's this dark place that people don't really, you're around it, but like it's like a good example, and we don't even need to name them, but somebody we've had on the show that I joked around with a little bit, and he was a big time fighter. Right? I joked around with a little bit on Instagram, and he hit you up. I was like, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass, right?
Yeah.
And I could notice that if I had joked around with anybody like that, it would. But
then like in person,
totally cool.
And then even since then, it's still like now cool. And it was just like,
but
this is my line. Don't joke about this.
And it's so interesting being around. But that impulsiveness, I think, leads to being in the cage.
Yeah.
When you, as a coach, I see you yelling at your guys, and it's almost like something in their brain, one of two things. It's either fight or flight, or it's like, he doesn't know, I know better, I'm in here, I'm just going to go bang and throw these things, which gets them screwed. Yeah. Don't you think that if they could curb that impulsiveness and be more coachable, that they would do much better? You said you did better?
I did better, yeah. Once I curbed my impulsiveness, I was dominant, bro. That was my problem. I was too impulsive. I just like to bang. Double-edged sword. My double-edged sword was always my aggression. I would come out. People weren't ready. Like, even sometimes people like, oh, shit, there's no feeling out process. I did Benelli Darush. I didn't let him get settled in. I ended up hurting him, dropping him. Then he resorts to his jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, I'm not going to get submitted by jiu-jitsu. So I just started smashing him in the face. And that was because there's no feeling out process. But then on another fight, I ran into a fucking guillotine. So then once I had Tarek kind of like reel me in, and then Tarek, like once I trusted him, it was actually we had such a good synergy. It was like I could literally look over and he'd be doing hand symbols, and I would be able to see him in the cage because I just trusted Tarek. And I would just go and trust him and be like, all right, let's do it. Whatever you say, I'm going to do. And then in my camp, like even my weight training, I was like, I trusted him in my grappling. And obviously there's other coaches around, Jake Shields was always part of there. And Jake would be like, I'd be like, oh yeah, anything you want to do, run it through Tarek. But Tarek is Jake's coach.
Yeah.
So then once we were in that synergy, so I would tell any young fighter, find yourself a good coach that you actually know they know the whole game, make them your head coach and just believe in it. Whether it works or doesn't, if you believe in it, it will work. Like I could tell you to do nothing. Like Coach Hackwood was telling me a story when he won one of the world titles. He would just go to the gym and hit a heavy bag at like a what's it called? Like a nice, Gold's Gym or something like that. And people are like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He'd be over there like hitting these hard workouts because he was a nurse. He's like, I didn't have time to be part of a gym. I still was fighting, making money. And he's like, and I won a world title because I just believed in myself. And he's like, that was some of the best fighting I ever did. But then you also need the team. So I always tell people, find your coach and you might lose with them. Like that's going to happen in the fighting, but it's never your coach's fault. It's always going to be your fault out there. And you have to decide like whether or not, and like sometimes you outgrow a coach. Like I'm not going to lie, like that happens, but you watch like Bilal, like no offense to Bilal, but I don't believe he has any spunk. Like he's just kind of good everywhere, while there's like, and that's where people want that's why they don't like him is people want that impulsive behavior, and you see like you know what I mean, where you just see like
they got to jump the gilly.
Jumping, like Alex this last weekend, Smith, who's a knockout guy, jumps the guillotine, and everyone's like, oh, Michel Pierre does that backflip, and it makes you like so you want to watch the impulsiveness. It gets boring when it becomes a sport.
Yeah, people don't want chess. People want battlefield.
They want battlefield. And like that was like one of my biggest issues was like on The Ultimate Fighter, I could play chess because there's no arena. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's where we saw Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson. No arena, super quiet, just kind of like at the training gym playing chess. But when that arena comes in, it's a different thing. Like, there's this fight was going on. It was like, I was going to pull out. I was in Sacramento, California, where I grew up. People are screaming my name. There's people waving Palestinian flags that drove across. People would come across the country to watch me fight that were Palestinian. They're like, we're here from Chicago. So I was like, I ain't quitting, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, but it was a double-edged sword. Like in a gym, I would have been like, shit, I blew out my elbow, and it would have gone to probably no contest compared to a knockout now that you get to wear a shirt. But then again, I would rather go home with my shielder on it. And I'm a dying breed. I didn't fight for fame. It wasn't famous when I was a kid. I was fighting, it was technically illegal and shit.
Dude, the thing is, you said I wasn't going to quit, and I had the thought, and I'll tell you off camera what gave me this thought because it's controversial and would get me in trouble. But I had the thought the other day that it's so easy and kind of fun to quit. Like I quit stuff all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I just quit stuff I don't want to do anymore. Like,
yeah.
But you'd see, it's just honestly, it's so interesting to me just as a person to be around guys like you or all these top guys where it's like not even fathomable the amount that you. Right now, my knuckle hurts. I punched my daughter the other day, who's 7. Just play fighting, right?
Yeah.
I just like was messing with her. And I was like, oh, and she was
it's not gonna be long for Allison beats your ass, dude.
And she's 7 years old, and then was I was just tapping her. I just think like trying to throw a real punch through broken hands and things.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
I mean, look at my hand. Like I've broken this like 6 times. I've completely blown out this thumb right there. Like there's no ligament in it. Everything, and that's actually one of the hardest things about fighting now is my hands don't last anymore. I actually think, and that's where I've been a fan of bare knuckle MMA. Like bare knuckle might be a better choice, like rugby versus football.
Did you watch this last BKFC?
I watched some of it. Yeah.
Did you watch Sugar's fight?
Yeah, brutal.
I didn't think that he won fighting that. I thought it was boring.
Yeah, I mean, it's just brutal because of bare knuckle.
Yeah, but they were just. I felt like Sugar we had on the show. He's a super cool guy. I really like him. I felt like he was staying back a lot. He wasn't engaging. I thought
but you can tell he's from a boxing background.
Yeah, that's the Mexican guy was just throwing haymakers.
Yeah, you can. That's the thing about BKFC. It's not boxing.
And they called it a draw.
Yeah, because he was boxing him. He was doing a good job sitting back, making him miss. Real boxing is the point is to make people miss. You know what I mean? Like to hit and not get hit. So then when you see these guys like going in and brawling, that's why they have a hard time. You see high level boxers get fucked up in BKFC. It's hard, you know what I mean? Because
What do you
it's
think of the
different.
Perry fight over in 30 seconds?
But I don't think anyone's gonna be able to match that dog in that
Yeah, he put, but you know,
without takedowns. Like, what are you gonna do?
I've been watching lately, and people are starting to turn a little bit on Mike, saying that he's taking some old boy fight. I mean, Thiago was retired.
He's
He was
old.
a UFC 100.
Yeah, he's old. He needs a young killer. I think that's what he needs. He needs someone that's like a young killer that's done BKFC maybe once. But the problem is who's out there. There's nobody.
Also got to have some name recognition.
Yeah, the only thing is going to be a name recognition. There's going to be some retired fighter. I mean, it'd be great to see Darren Till's been saying it, but
He did call it Darren Till.
But Darren Till's not going to. He said no way he'd do no gloves, which I don't blame him. Like he's like I don't
Gross,
want.
yeah.
I don't want to lose 5 of my teeth for the rest. Now what? Fucking Luke for the rest of his life has missing bottom teeth.
yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like and it's not worth the money, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Mike was the big one. He got 600 G's.
Yeah.
Sugar made 4. What happens in a tie? Let's say you get show money and win money.
I think it's up to the promotion. I don't think they have to pay you.
That'd be crazy if you both. Imagine they just start
Yeah, that's a
marketing
good
everybody
question.
as
We'll
a
have to
tie.
ask.
There's no win money.
Let's dig into that one.
But actually in California they weren't allowed to do show and win. So Sugar only got
Yeah.
4 G's.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know who Mike Perry could fight. Like,
Lorenzo Hunt.
He's too
ooh, that's no, bro. Yeah, Lorenzo Hunt would
Yeah,
be a
but
good
isn't-
one.
isn't-
Is he
isn't
a
Mike-
free agent?
big. No, Lorenzo Hunt is in the BKFC. He's the one that just dislocated his arm.
Oh no, never mind. I was thinking Lorenzo from Bellator, the kickboxer. You know what I'm talking about?
He's talking about Lorenzo Hunt. That's the juggernaut who just dislocated his
Yeah,
elbow.
yeah, not him. No, that's a good one. That's who they should sign. See if he's free agent. Is Lorenzo? He fought Bellator, UFC. He's a sick kickboxer, black dude from
Did you
California.
watch that Duffy and Big Ben fight?
Oh yeah,
That was weird. It's like Duffy said he got a stinger or something, but it looked like he quit.
yeah. But I mean, he probably did. He probably got
But a
hit.
stinger. I mean, I got stingers in football. You had to keep playing.
No, you would not. You would
100%.
call your dad and be like, "I'm
100%,
going
no.
home."
100%. You get stingers.
Yeah.
You have to keep playing. Is stingers a thing that stops you from fighting?
I mean, it could be bad enough. I don't know.
It's a stinger.
I think he got hit, and he's probably fuck
He's
this.
like, yeah, I'm fighting this man.
I already got
now.
paid.
What do you think about Duffy versus that big English guy they got? What's his name?
No,
one that-
Scottish.
Mick.
Yeah, Mick.
Mick Terrell.
Yeah, Mick Terrell's nasty, dude. I think he's built for it. Some people are just built for that.
It was funny because we were in the media room after Perry fought here.
Yeah,
And that was when he took the belt from that black guy.
yeah.
And he was just walking around. He was walking around in the media room, like, "Who's got pizza? I want some pizza."
Pizza, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it's just this normal guy, dude."
All right, is that it? We're
Yeah,
gonna start.
yeah,
But
we're getting
hey,
close to the
one
end,
thing
dude.
though, we're gonna start doing more with PFL. That was another thing we got to bring up when we were there. Me and Stove went and did PFL backstage media. They're coming to Salt Lake. We're gonna start doing more PFL stuff. They're gonna give us access to media. We're gonna have Clay on, who's the main event here in Salt Lake. My boy Julian, we'll get him on before he makes his debut. I think that'd be an interesting talk about his stepping up from.
From
Local
a
to-
local promotion to something big.
Yeah, that's definitely a big jump, and it's, he's ready for it, but it's obviously probably playing in on his psyche.
Yeah, and then also, who's your guy with the busted nose?
Oh, Junior
Yeah, Junior
Dos Santos, he wants to come on. Yeah, we'll get Junior on. We're trying to get Alex. We'll get
but,
Alex and Polino, so we have his translator.
Why don't I do this for every time now when we have a guest on? I'll get my own shirt made where they're getting knocked out, and I'll take it off in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
So they can beat the hell out of me.
I don't think most people could take it as well as I can. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
saw that flash of anger. You're like, oh, well, first of all.
Yeah. No, honestly, I can't make a shirt of you. That's the
Yeah.
problem. What am I gonna?
It would look too regal.
Yeah, if I made a shirt of you doing what in your
like
life?
desk work.
Yeah,
maybe.
desk work, sitting there on the shitter. That's your accomplishment.
That's where I spend most of my
Yeah,
time.
and here's the thing. You come at me like you're some kind of entrepreneur, but in the entrepreneur world, since I'm a fucking UFC high level, I'd be like a goddamn Tony or not. What's his name? Like Mark Cuban. I'm like a Mark Cuban character or someone that would be on what's that show called? Shark Tank, a billionaire, and you're still just a local motherfucking fighter. Ended on that.
If I was entrepreneur level, I'd currently be like a Zuckerberg, or I'd be like if I was a UFC fighter, my entrepreneur level, I'd be.
No, you wouldn't,
I'd be
bro.
a Marab. I'm a number
No,
one
you would
contender,
not,
100%.
You would be.
We're about to do $100 million this year, sir.
Yeah, that's nothing,
I'm a
bro. You ain't in the
Marab.
billions,
I'm a
bro. You
Marab.
ain't in the
I'm telling you
billions.
right now.
I'd be a billionaire,
Let them know
and you
that.
know that, right? That's a good analogy. I'd be in the billions.
I'm Marab.
And you're just still fighting. Hey, maybe you
wouldn't say-
can
I
get
wouldn't-
that fierce title one day.
I wouldn't say I'm sugar. No, I don't fight in high schools.
Yeah, that's where you are in the business world. At
incorrect.
100 million,
Incorrect.
you're literally at high school.
Oh my!
Yeah,
yes.
you are.
I wouldn't fight in high schools. Okay,
That's where you're fighting.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into the Coach and the Casual. Make sure to tune in on YouTube, podcast, Spotify, everywhere we do podcasts. We're giving away a Marab signed shirt as well as a Henry Cejudo signed shirt. Like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning into the Coach and the Casual. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and share it with your friends. Thanks again.